My name is Sarah. I am 50 years old. 10 years ago, I was married to a man named Daniel. We had a happy life together. Our love story began on a bus. People often say that good girls don't talk to strangers, but we did. We clicked instantly, started dating, and after a year we got married. When we married, I was young, full of dreams and full of life. I always worried about my weight, even though I was never overweight. Daniel would always reassure me, telling me to stop dieting because I was perfect as I was. He truly cared for me, though I didn't fully understand it at the time. Daniel was a simple man. He wasn't the kind who brought flowers every day or served me coffee in bed regularly. The one time he did, he accidentally spilled it on my dress, and I asked him not to do it again. He had his own way of showing love, working hard, calling me from work to remind me to dress warmly on cold days, and ensuring our family was always taken care of. We had 2 wonderful sons. Daniel taught them to respect me and always made sure they felt secure. He started his career as a builder, then worked his way up to becoming a manager. Eventually, he established his own company, and our life became even more stable. We built a house outside the city, and Daniel insisted that I focus on our home and garden rather than working. I spent my days planting flowers, growing fruits and vegetables, and caring for our sons. As time passed, our boys grew up, got married, and started their own families. Soon we were blessed with a granddaughter, Emily. Daniel adored her beyond words. He always looked forward to her visits, and she brought so much joy into our lives. One day, our eldest son told us that he would bring Emily over for a visit. I was excited, but Daniel surprised me by saying he couldn't make it because he had to work over the weekend. It was unusual for him to turn down time with Emily. When I questioned him, he vaguely mentioned staying at his father's house. Something about his words felt off, and a strange sense of unease settled over me. The next day I decided to visit his office. But when I arrived, he was nowhere to be found. The security guard informed me that Daniel wasn't in that day. Then I overheard the guard's wife whispering, "Poor woman, everyone knows but her." A chill ran down my spine. My hands trembled as I called Daniel. "We need to talk," I told him. That evening he came home, looking restless. I gathered all my courage and asked, "Do you have someone else?" He hesitated for a moment before answering, "Yes." My world shattered in that instant. My voice barely above a whisper, I asked, "Will you leave or should I?" Without much emotion, he simply said, "I will leave." He packed his things, and just like that he was gone. My heart ached as I stood there in disbelief. The life I had built, the love I had cherished, had all collapsed. I cried endlessly, feeling lost and alone. My sons visited me often. They held me as I sobbed and listened to my pain. I told them, "Your father has left me, but he is still your father. Respect him." Days turned into weeks, and I sank deeper into sadness. Nights were the hardest. I couldn't sleep, I barely ate, and I forgot how to smile. Then one day my best friend, Anna, came over. She looked at me with concern and said, "Sarah, come with me." She took me to a children's hospital. The children there were battling cancer, so fragile yet so full of life. Their mothers stayed beside them, tending to their every need, offering them comfort and love. Anna whispered to me, "Sarah, look at these women. Their struggles are far greater than yours. Your pain, though deep, is not the end." That day changed everything. I began volunteering at the hospital, finding sponsors to support the children's treatment. Helping them brought light back into my life. I found purpose, and for the first time in years I smiled again. 10 years passed. On Women's Day, I eagerly waited for my sons to visit me. When the door finally opened, I was stunned. It wasn't them. It was Daniel. He looked aged, weary, and broken. "Sarah, can I stay here?" he asked softly. I stood still, my heart unsure. "This is your house too," I finally said. Daniel sat down, exhaling deeply. "I'm sorry. Please forgive me." Had no words. Later, Anna told me that Daniel's new wife had deceived him. Her child wasn't his, and she had abandoned him. Now he had nowhere to go. Could I forgive him? Could I forget the pain he had caused me? These questions haunted me every day. Daniel stayed in the guest room. He spoke little, and I couldn't understand what he was thinking, nor what I was feeling. I cooked dinner that night, and as I placed the dishes on the table, he inhaled deeply. "The food smells good, Sarah." I didn't respond. As we ate, he murmured, "No one cooks like you. I've missed this." I wanted to smile, but the pain still lingered. "You made your choice, Daniel," I said simply. After dinner, he tried to help with the dishes. I shook my head. "I can do it." The next day, my sons came to visit. When they saw him, their eyes widened. "Dad," Peter, my eldest, asked, "what are you doing here?" Daniel lowered his gaze. "I made a mistake. I hurt your mother. And now I want to make things right." Peter looked at me. "Mom, are you okay with this?" I hesitated. "I don't know yet." Peter and Mark took me aside. "Mom, you don't have to let him stay. We'll take care of you." "I need time to think," I whispered. That night sleep evaded me. Memories of the past flooded my mind. Daniel had hurt me deeply, but he had also been a good father. He had worked hard to provide for us. Could people change? Could I trust him again? The next morning I saw him outside, fixing the broken fence in the garden. He looked older, slower, but he was working hard. I watched for a moment before stepping outside. "You don't have to do this," I said. He looked up. "I want to. This is still my family." I didn't reply. I simply walked back inside. A few days later, our granddaughter Emily came to visit. As soon as she saw Daniel, her eyes lit up. She ran to him and threw her arms around him. "Grandpa!" For the first time in years, I saw a genuine smile on his face. As I watched them together, I realized that healing takes time. Forgiveness isn't easy, but perhaps, just perhaps, we could find a way to be a family again.